Does Jesus say anything new? Is the New Testament really all that new? So today's Yom Kippur, and a key lesson in today, I figured was a good example to show a separation from the theological Christian Jesus to the understanding of Yeshua, the rabbi teacher of what would be Christianity. So let's view some of Jesus's teachings. I've heard many series, many lessons from the pulpit of preachers that tell us how Jesus says these revolutionary, ground-shaking things that challenge us, things that, it means to be Christian, that's really challenging and different from all things taught. Is that so? Well, today on Yom Kippur, one of the key elements of what's happening is found not only throughout the entire Old Testament, but it's found throughout all of Judaism and in Jesus's teachings. So let's look at the revolutionary new things that are separate to Christianity and something totally new. Now, the main sermons I've heard a lot are the radical ideas of Luke 6. Jesus says, love your enemies, do good to them. Matthew 5, but I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. Matthew 6, but if you do not forgive their sins, your Father will not forgive you. Luke 23, Jesus says, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And as I said, I've heard so many sermons on this. This is actually found throughout the entire Old Testament, as I said. And on Yom Kippur, let's look at today. So on Yom Kippur, which we know is the Day of Atonement, of the sacrifice to bring atonement between man and God, it's called Yom Kippur because it's a day of covering, which is where you get the word kippah from. It's also a yarmulke, but that's Yiddish. Today is where Jewish people will sacrifice, or used to in the temple, and it's the day where you get atonement made with God. Now, the Jewish people are still doing repentance, as I taught before, and soul searching, trying to make atonement with God again. They get this chance once every year. So, as I taught, you don't only just search your soul and find what's wrong with you and, that separates you from God, but you also traditionally go about making amends to people you've wronged. If you stole something from someone, you go give it back to them. That's in the law of Moses. So this is a practice to achieve from Rosh Hashanah to the Day of Atonement to make yourself clean and before God again and have amends made. So also, the Jewish families all around the world today traditionally will read, learn, and teach the book of Jonah. So we know in Jonah that Jonah was given a message to go tell the enemies of Israel that if they would stop attacking Israel and worship God and turn away from their ways, God was going to bring judgment, or he would, stop the judgment that was coming. Jonah spends the entire book running away from it, not wanting to go where God told him to go, because Jonah wants his enemies to pay. This is a common thought, common cultural belief, especially at that time, of righteous judgment. God will punish your enemies or the people that have hurt you. This is believed throughout the entire Middle East. So that's basically the story of Jonah, and it takes Jonah to realize this before he finally goes and does what he's supposed to do. So let's look at the Rabianc teachings in the Mishnah, which is the oral law taught by the rabbis. This is a common theme through all of Judaism. The Mishnah itself states that Yom Kippur atones for the transgressions between a person and God. However, for transgressions between person to another person, Yom Kippur does not atone. And it will not atone until that person appeases the other person. So again, not being disrespectful, but there's really nothing new taught by Jesus the Rabbi that wasn't taught in Judaism for centuries. So as I said, not being offensive, I'm just trying to help teach the Jewishness behind Christianity and not the theology of Christianity that took a giant separate split. Once you understand the Hebrew Bible, once you understand the Jewish culture, you start understanding Yeshua, the disciples, and everything so much clearer. So, may your names be wrote in the book of life.